This is podcast number 2 in a series called My Father's Still an Abusive, Pedophile, and Rapist. So I just thought it would be interesting to continue to explain why my father is a piece of dog shit. Because some people knew him a little bit differently. But some of the content, if you want to look for content about me, remember I changed my name legally several months ago. It used to be Jason Gastrich, Gastrich. You can find years of my history and pics on my old Instagram account. Look at Jason A. Gastrich on there. And if you like scrolling back, you can see my trips when I lived in Hawaii and everything I did there. I recently started using a different one, Jason Patrick Law, which is my new name. So I left the old Instagram account. Facebook, I'm on there. This is a live broadcast initially on Facebook, and I'm recording audio. And I will upload it to YouTube and elsewhere to make sure it gets out. It's also part of a broadcast I started doing called Wait Until My Hair Grows Out. In that folder on LinkedIn, there's my therapy sessions and some podcasts, like the first podcast from last week. This is number 2 in the series. And you can find my old website under my old name a little bit longer, jasongastrich.com. It's got links to old therapy sessions, new therapy sessions, those LinkedIn files, all kinds of stuff. It's kind of a hub. I don't really update it anymore, and I'm going to get a different website here one of these days. But I already have 2 other business websites, and so I'm not in a big hurry to make a new personal one right this very minute. I teach guitar lessons, and I've been doing it for many years. I get about $55 an hour. My website is playguitarusa.com. I can teach in person or on the internet. So if you need guitar lessons, hit me up. My other business is an online first aid CPR certification business. I've had that for almost 2 decades. You got free classes if you just want to learn how to do CPR and first aid. No gimmicks, no signups. And if you need a certification card, you can buy one there pretty cheap. So anyhow, this isn't an advertisement. I just wanted to introduce myself a little bit more. Also, my old account on YouTube, you can find some interesting videos there I recorded like during COVID. But that account is 1SDKid2U. Okay? The number 1, SDKID, the number 2, and the letter U on YouTube. You can find a bunch of videos there, like the ones I recorded during COVID when I lived in Kauai, and I was holed up there for about 3 or 4 months in a very nice beachfront condo. But I commented on everything from the news that was going on at the time to my personal beliefs and how they've changed over time. So one interesting thing about the development of my father's depravity and my perception of it is that, because that's really what this is all about. I think I'm a unique person in that I was abused as a child and threatened to never ever even think about it until I got much older. And then I finally thought about it towards the end of 2024, just as he knew and he scared me into. And my mom was dead already, and he was 10 steps ahead of me on how to hide his tracks. And I'm just starting to remember sequentially all of these terrible, horrible things that happened to me and my mother. So it took some time. I mean, my mom went so far as to say that I'm going to want to file a lawsuit and I should wait to even go to the police about it and tell them the report until a year passes or so, because it's going to take a lot of time for me to slowly remember all this stuff. Because what happened was he programmed me to be one way, and she programmed me to be another way. And all the while, I wasn't thinking about the abuse and taking that into consideration and like why these people are telling me these things. I was just listening and processing. But basically, he wanted to get away with it, um, and she wanted me to kill him. So everything he told me I should do in my life was to basically aid him to make me look like somebody who doesn't have credibility when the time came for me to seek justice. And she didn't like that. I mean, she hated what he did. She opposed him every step of the way. I have more respect for my mom, even though she didn't leave him or go to the police. But that's pretty much all she didn't do. She was just uneducated, and she thought she couldn't earn money, and she didn't have a choice. So she basically let him rape her. She let him rape her. Like I said before, he said he was raped after he was drafted in the army by some soldier, and then that's why he said he raped us. Me for a few years, and her until she died. Surgery trying to get it fixed in 2017. And she hated it. She called me into the bedroom one time and showed me the blood, and she was bent over and said, "This is the wrong way to have sex, but your father likes it." And, but see, if that was all, that would be one thing, but that's only a tiny bit of what this monster actually did to her and to me, and is still doing to me. And I don't even know to who else. And so that's why I'm not letting it go. And he intended all along to harm me in these days, right now, when I came forward and told the police and started filing lawsuits and started realizing what kind of person he is. And I'm just quoting what he said. I don't have any idea what's going on besides what I've been told by my family, including my father. He's a psychopath. I have a BA in psychology from SDSU, and that's my diagnosis of him. And he was prescribed some meds from a doctor, and he's not taking them. And so as a psychopath, he's a certain kind of person, a little bit like Donald Trump. But him being a pedophile and a rapist and a psychopath is a bad combination. And he has used weapons he should have never had on me and my mother, me since infancy, and I don't know when he started harming her. I wonder how far it goes. But my grandpa and her both told me about his abuse.
There's not going to be any agreement with the Iranians if President Trump will insist on limitation of usual events.
Sorry about that.
If you don't understand the rules of power, you will certainly lose to someone.
Sorry about that. Woo! Had a little meltdown there, but it's all okay now. I'm using a laptop that's connected to the internet to just hold the phone up straight. And I've got another phone here doing the audio recording. And it went haywire for a second. But anyhow, my grandpa told me about the abuse that my father inflicted on him. And he described it as feeling pains around his body and hearing intrusive words. And it was back and forth between the intrusive words and the body pains. And he said he was fighting it and hating it and screaming and yelling. And he thought they were watching him and laughing at him. And eventually he just gave up and gave in. And that's what he suggested that I do. Now, my mom didn't focus so much on body pains when she told me what he did to her. But she did two things I remember real clearly. And one was she said that she could hear his voice and him saying words to her when he was not in the room and she was washing dishes in my childhood house. And she would end up saying, I know it's you. I know you're talking to me, and you can stop or just come in here and talk to me. But he was using the machine from another room to do this. Now, whether it required an implant or not, I'm not entirely sure. She said that he wanted to put implants in both of us and that he tried, and that she's not sure if they worked, and that he maybe used them for a different purpose, like location purposes or confirmation or in conjunction with another weapon. because there's the voice weapon, there's the laser pen weapon that they told me about as well, and that he used on me. And I've got marks to show it, to prove it. And then there's another weapon, like a wave weapon, energy type, that hits these scars and then hits other tissues and causes pain. So it sounds like I'm suffering from all of these things, and the laser pen is come and gone. I imagine he still has it after he stole it from his father, who was in the Navy, and said, "Don't touch it." Like I said before, he blinded himself in the eye, his brother in the eye. He said he would blind me in the eye, and then he did. He may have blinded my daughter in the eye when she stayed the night there for 7 months in 2011, right before 2012. And I hope to God he didn't. And I hope to God he didn't do anything else to her. Because I didn't. These things were not accessible memories, and I would have never let him anywhere near her if I would have been able to recall that he abused me and my mother and used all these weapons. There's a lot of things that I was told that I couldn't think about until I got older, and there's some things that my father told me I could never, ever think about. And I'm starting to remember those as well. So tomorrow I'm going to go file a lawsuit. This is a unique lawsuit because I'm suing for about $3,300 at least that my father bailed on, because like I said before, he glorified homelessness, said Jesus, Gandhi, Muhammad, anybody worth anything was always homeless, and learned from it and grew from it, and it was a great experience, and I got to do it, and blah, blah, blah. And then he said he would help me get off the street afterwards, because it's not always easy to find a job and get an apartment and get on the lease and do all that. So I said, fine. So I saved up a whole bunch of money during the COVID, because I got pandemic unemployment assistance, $563 a week. So I got over $2,000, and I had like no expenses for months. So I saved up over $10,000 to get myself off the street, and I did. And I was staying in temporary places, and I was staying in weekly places like the Red Roof Inn per week on the mainland, and then in Hawaii weeklies until I got assigned a lease off the grid on my own. And but when I moved back to the mainland, he helped me with my first place there, because I wasn't ready to take it on my own, and he helped me with the lease, 1 year lease in downtown Portland. And then after about half of it or so, he decided he wasn't going to pay anymore. Maybe 9 months. It was roughly $1,000 a month, and he owes $3,300. So I think he must have skipped out on 3 months of it. And he did it willfully. He knew that I didn't have the money and that it was going to make me houseless. And he's got money, and he lives in my gigantic childhood house, 2-car garage, 3rd acre, and worth $1 million. 1558 Fair Glen Road, El Cajon, California, 92019. And so it was bullshit. And it was to get me to have to live on the street a second time, and for it to impugn my integrity among everybody. The police that I was going to come forward to, which I did. I actually flew down from Portland to San Diego in April before I got evicted and left 2 months later. And he just stopped paying and said he wasn't going to pay anymore. And so we'll see what a judge says. So I'm going to sue him in small claims court because they're asking me for the money. I sent him the bill from the place, and it's not fair that I should have to pay for what he said he would help me pay for, and that what he promised he would do long time ago. And it's really weird because both of them, my mom didn't ever want me to be houseless, and she said that's totally my dad's idea. But he even said that it could happen twice, and she didn't want it to happen at all. But he thought it could happen once, and then again now when I come back down here to get justice, because he didn't think that I would have enough money saved up or a steady job and all those things here to do that at that time. So, but I'm working and I want to continue to work and earn more money. I'm fortunate that I was able to hook up with some of the free stuff in California, and it has helped a bit. But these words are stupid. It's always intrusive. It's always selfish. It's a shame that this baby boomer moron, this college dropout, shit for brains goon that got discharged from the military and won't tell us how or why before they could even send him to Vietnam after drafting his dumbass, is bothering me with this bullshit constantly. Before this video started, he was putting dumb words in my head, and I felt body pains. And they usually just last a few minutes here or there or in different places. I remember when some of them started for the very first time, and one was in Maui and one was in Hilo. One was in Lahaina, Maui, and one was in Hilo, Hawaii, Big Island. And so he must have been there. My mom said that he stalked me and he's been following me everywhere I've ever lived. And she, like I said, she died in 2017, and these are more recent. This was I believe it was 2018 in Maui. And it was 2023 in Hilo. And I reported it to police. I had to file police reports in Hilo and also in Portland because I thought somebody was stalking me and that it was my father, either literally there or paying people and manipulating people to stalk me and scare me and harm me and bother me. I photographed a picture. I wrote a book called The Wrong Side, and my father's picture is in it, and here it is. He's even grosser now. He's fatter, balder, blinder, dumber. He's an alcoholic and an addict. Obese. Going blind, going bald. He's got prostate cancer. He's got some kind of emphysema or something since he can't get clean breaths without hacking and coughing since he smokes cigarettes all the time. He's a weak-willed, weak-minded shit stain. And makes shit stains. Pretty sad and pathetic motherfucker. I wish I would have known that he was such a goddamn zero before I got older and had to recall it and his rapes and his shit. But it's real important that I file this second lawsuit against him and that I make one more police report to the sheriff, San Diego, El Cajon Sheriff is basically what they are. But they have a different name, and it's not San Diego Sheriff, which is in Santee. But these guys are sort of in Spring Valley-ish. So I'm going to report what he's been doing to me. So, like I said before, I have a feeling that my mom could have reported some things to them, saying my husband said he's going to do these terrible things to my son. And I don't know what to do about it, but I think I should tell somebody. Or at least they can know that he's in their jurisdiction and he's committing crimes and he's got these weapons and they're likely in his house. And, when his life ends, I want access and I want those weapons confiscated and I want to press charges. And he's got a stupid brother named Ross who he shares a bank account with. I just recalled that. To bribe him, and he's been complicit with some of his crimes, that he's going to want to mop up the place and tidy it up and change it up. But he's not going to mess with the crime scene. So, we'll see. I don't want to kill my father, but he deserves it, and it will be in self-defense if I do. And his family knows about these weapons. It's a shame my mom's dead. She had all the info, but I think that's why she's dead. like I said last week, they were debating on whether or not I should tell my therapist these plans to kill him. And I just thought about it and told my therapist my mom's plans and how my mom wanted me to kill him. And then a week or two or so down the line, I told them that I was thinking about killing him. And then they must have told the police, because when I went to buy a gun, they said I couldn't get one. So I was prevented from buying a semi-automatic rifle for $100 at Sportsman in Santee because I failed the California part of the background check. So I think that means that my therapist told the authorities, and they say I can't have a gun for maybe 5 years or something. Oh, well, I'm an honest person, and there's a lot of ways you can kill somebody. I just want to make sure that I don't get harmed or killed in the process. So I don't need a gun to kill somebody. And he knew that, and this came up then as well. It's going to be worth it to take out the goddamn garbage, because this fucker raped my mother and raped me and just laughed about it and just thought he'd get away with it. And he made promises to me that he's broken, that I counted on, and the types of promises and threats that, my life would have taken a very different direction if I didn't believe him and trust him and respect him. And that's what he was about, tricking me into believing, trusting, and respecting him, even though he doesn't deserve any. It's a shame that he tricked me with Christianity, too. That's really sick and demented, because he doesn't give a shit about Christianity, and he's even told me before that he doesn't really believe in the Bible and or like hell. And so he's just playing a game. And I really did believe. I guess they saved me when I was 7, but they threatened me. And it was more about my father's pedophilia and trying to cover it up and trying to act like we were changing or I was changing. And he just flat out lied to my mom about all kinds of stuff and made it sound like I was gay maybe, or like it was something I wanted. He's a sick, sick, sick liar. It would remind me that I'm going to write a poem saying that I will not stick my dick in your ass, even if my father asks, because I'm not into anal sex. I'm not a sexual deviant either. But my wife, when I was married for 10 years, she asked me one time if I would do that, and I was like, whoa, taken back, and I said, fine, whatever. And then I thought maybe my father put her up to it, because he wanted me to be gay. He thought he could cover his tracks if I was gay. But I've never been gay, and I've never wanted to be gay. I am a heterosexual man, and I like women. And that's it. So it's pretty pathetic and sad that there's sick goddamn motherfuckers like Donald Trump and my father, Lindsay Gastrich, that get away with pedophilia and rape and all kinds of other crimes that they commit to try to not get away, try to not get caught. These people are shitty, shitty goddamn people. And they want it exactly like it is right now. They want to feel tough and powerful. They want it to be known that they did these things, but they also want it to be known that they're above the law and that nobody can touch them. My father actually thought I was going to be very, very disappointed at this time when I started recalling these things, because he said that my friends and family, everybody that was around my whole life will be gone by now. And he said that a lot of people aren't even believed. I know he made it sound like it was going to be miserable and that it was going to be a big black eye on the church. He thought nobody in the church was going to want to help me or deal with it, and that I wouldn't believe in Jesus and they wouldn't give a rip about me by now. And that's pretty much the truth. And he's just such a sick person that he thinks that this experience is going to harm his enemies. And he doesn't like the church, and he doesn't like certain people in it that he thinks told on him or kept me down or liked my mother or listened to my mother or could maybe get him in trouble today or bring him to justice today. He's got a list of people he fears from the church and that he wants to take down or wants their lives to go bad. And I think he might have done some bad things to some of these people. Like, for instance, Pastor John Ruhlman and him butted heads, and he died very early in a very suspicious way. And I expected him to be alive for a very long time. He might have gotten into some kind of drugs when he was homeless, but both of those things strike me as astonishing, just to hear that Pastor John Ruhlman went homeless and that he was doing drugs. But that's fine. I mean, maybe he did, and maybe he was. But still, his death is even more suspicious. And it happened in Oceanside, California, even though he was a pastor at Shadow Mountain Community Church. I mean, he was my high school pastor and one of my football coaches. And so I learned a lot from him, and I respected him and liked him, and he liked me. He was real intense and just real fun and boisterous. The Shadow Mountain Community Church group, we had a huge high school group. I think there was 250 people or something. Because I remember when we would take trips to the river or to Mission Bay, they would bring boats, and not just a boat or two, but they would bring like dozens of boats. It was really crazy. It was great though. It was a lot of fun. Although I'm not religious now and I'm not a Christian now. But so yeah, I think my father expected some things to happen to me when I was houseless that never happened to me. And I think he expected me to get my ass kicked and for me to get sodomized, I think, was one of his stupid wishes and hopes. And also, I think he wanted me to appreciate his criminality. I'm not a criminal. When I was, living outside in Long Beach and in California, and Long Beach and in Hawaii, I never stole anything. I never took drugs. I never, I guess I really broke the stereotype. But like I said, this guy prepared me to be houseless, and he talked about it over and over and over and over in my childhood on how to do it and how not to do it, and what people would think, what people would say, where to go, where not to go, and on and on and on and on. He liked to micromanage my life in general, and even the future. So some of it I had to learn myself and figure it out and remember what I was taught, but a lot of it came naturally, and I was able to figure it out and how to do it, and figure out I could replicate it probably anywhere. Basically just sticking stuff in storage and showering at the gym. It's really not rocket science, but there are some little ins and outs, I guess, that you learn and you pick up as you go along. Don't make death threats. Those are probably the biggest three things. Stick yourself in storage, get a gym membership, shower every day, and don't make death threats. Yeah, I remember my mom just wanted me to shower every day real badly. I said, fine, no problem. And so this was all nuts to me, and I didn't know if it would ever happen, and I certainly never tried to make it happen. But just after I was divorced, and I was living in a very nice apartment, and I fought these charges with her, both of us fighting charges in California for a year. That kind of ended our marriage, and we split. And I wasn't going to beg or fight for it. She wanted to go, and I did, and that was fine. The last thing I want to do is make somebody stay with me that doesn't want to stay with me, and then have her cheat on me. So that was fine. It ran its course. It was over. I think some people see marriage as like a short-term thing. Some people see it forever. Some people don't know, or they say one thing and they mean another, or they just really don't know until they're in it. She got married when she was only 20 years old and didn't have dating experience. And she was an immigrant, and English was not her first language. And so those are, I think, and she moved about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from her family when she got married to me. So I think all those things sort of worked against her a little bit, worked against us. Although we got premarital counseling, and then we got marital counseling, and it lasted a decade. So that's pretty long. But I loved her, and I didn't cheat on her, and I did my best. I always came home every night. I was a good person to her. And she was, for the most part, a good person to me. I mean, we had some arguments and disagreements and things that were unfortunate. So yeah, I think my father is a criminal in a lot of different ways and has been committing a whole lot of crimes for a long time against mainly me, but also against some other people too. And I think that he thought that I would appreciate that and his ability to harm and get away with it because he thought maybe that I would do that to people. And the opposite has happened to me. I love the law. The law protects me from idiots like him. And I don't take any, I'm an empath, and I don't take any pleasure in pain. My name is Healer. Jason means healer. And I get sad when other people get hurt. And so, I don't know, some of the expectations that my father had for me, my mom just said, never in 1,000 years will this kid become this way. And he just didn't get it or didn't care. Or he was the kind of psychopath that just thought, well, I don't care. I'm just going to keep trying to manipulate him. And I'm going to keep trying to control him, even though there's no way in hell it's going to work. So I don't know. I've accomplished a whole lot in my life. I'm really excited about what I've done. I didn't think I'd be single again. And my parents were married for their entire life that I was alive until my mom died. And so I've kind of thought that I would do the same thing, but I don't mind that I'm single again. It's fine. But I need to get this situation behind me. It is pretty angering and frustrating that this moron did these terrible things, and they're provable things. It's just going to take some time. But, I don't take this stuff lightly. And I just filed one lawsuit about the infection that he gave me, and I intend on winning it. And I'm going to file this lawsuit tomorrow about the backing out of the lease that I was in, that he was helping me with. And then I'm going to report it to the sheriff, the most recent crimes and pains, and see what they say. Because, these weapons that he's using are not conventional, and some people might understand them, some people might not. If I talk to somebody there with a military background, they may have familiarity with some of these weapons that cops don't know about. And it's a shame. And I see things happening in the world, and I apply what I have suffered through and what I know, and think, wow, I think this person or that person might be being attacked by somebody and not even know it, perhaps. But it's a shame that that's what these people are into now, These old liars and idiots that they've given up, the truth war or the PR war or whatever, and they've gone for just being an annoyance, being a spoiler, being a thorn in your side. It's pitiful. Part of it is indicative of this baby boomer generation, in my opinion. These clowns were raised talking into a tin can with a string tied to it. That's how their brain was formed in their formative years. And we're talking Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, Joe Biden. Even though Joe Biden is 4 years older than the baby boomer generation. He's got a brother that's a baby boomer, and he talked into a tin can with a string. So we need leaders that have a goddamn brain that works like everybody else's brain works, not like a fucking dinosaur Neanderthal brain trying to start wars and burn dead shit forever and hire fucking morons that just move their goddamn mouth because they're getting paid. I'm sick of hearing this fucking Senator Kennedy or Secretary Kennedy and Secretary Rollins. These people, if there's a God, God's going to punish them bad because they're misleading people and they're harming children. Telling people to eat whole milk is fucked up. Fuck you if you tell people to eat whole milk. You're a piece of shit. People don't need all that goddamn saturated fat. People don't need to kill a fucking animal either. You fag, you fucking loser. Fuck you. So a lot of people are stuck in some old nostalgic cycle of childhood bullshit, and they can't grow up and be self-actualizers and great people. I don't have to kill to live or survive or to thrive. I eat organic vegetarian food, and I've been this way for over a decade. And you can too. At least, for Christ's sake, eat skim milk. You don't need all this fucking saturated fat. And I told the bitch that you might as well tell kids to eat skim milk and 3 fucking slices of bacon, because it would be the same goddamn thing as drinking a fucking glass of whole milk. So she didn't reply. She's a dumb goddamn bitch that just wants to fucking control your brain like Secretary goddamn Kennedy. So that's probably why. Sorry, shitheads, you're gonna have to think for yourselves, because your leaders are sacks of shit. So I feel that the government owes me quite a bit. Why? Because they raided the medical marijuana collective that I was directing in 2011 and ripped down my plants and ruined my life and separated my family, and my daughter never slept under my roof again after that night that they broke down my fucking door with a goddamn battering ram at 6 in the morning. So I don't feel bad at all for getting EBT. I don't feel bad at all for getting $672 for 3 fucking months out of the year from El Cajon or San Diego either. Because it was the corrupt shit San Diego police that did it with the goddamn DEA and the goddamn forestry department and the goddamn CPS people. I had 4 fucking departments of the goddamn government at my door that morning. And it was a load of shit. So that's why I wrote the book, The Wrong Side. It's a blow-by-blow account of all the goddamn bullshit I went through. Just because I was helping about 50 medical cannabis patients that all had their paperwork. And I was growing plants in my house. That's it. So you can read about that, and I've probably talked about it, and I'll talk about it again, but they stuck 4 felonies on me. And then after 1 year, they knocked it down to a 1 misdemeanor plea deal. And right before the trial, right before the hearing, the same day, and my public defender attorney looked like she was going to blow it. And I thought I was going to have to maybe go to jail for a couple of years, because I thought I might get a real stupid jury. And I just said, all right, fine, I'll take it. It wasn't going to be a drug charge, and it wasn't going to be any jail time. And it was just like a small couple $100 fee, I think, and that was about it. Pardon me. But the weird thing is, it was the only non-drug charge, and it was in child endangerment, and which is bullshit. My kid was never in any danger. But so now I didn't think it would matter. But when I applied about 10 months ago to the San Diego COES to get 30-day emergency teaching permit, they're slow walking it or whatever. I told them that the charge was expunged in the Fresh Start program here in San Diego, and they're supposed to process it in a timely manner and get it back to me. So I wrote them a demand letter too, telling them I want my application fee money back. I just sent this out on the 6th of this month. I told them I want my fingerprinting fee back, and I told them I want $3,000, $2,000 for lost wages, $1,000 for pain and suffering, what I've had to go through over the last 10 months because I couldn't work for them like I should have been as a substitute teacher around the county like I used to do. So we'll see what happens. I'm not going to file that lawsuit immediately. I'm going to give them a couple days to reply, because they might. But I won a lawsuit against Kearney High School when they hired me as a soccer coach and then fired me. Because we had a fantastic season, and I set up the whole season for the next season, and then we had a new athletic director, and then she fired me. Basically just wanted to bring in her own person or whatever, I don't know. But they ruled in my favor and said that, I set up all the games, all the practices, all the pregame, all the work, the jerseys, everything, and then I got fired, and that takes a lot of time and effort, so I got paid for it. But I think the same thing will happen here. I think these people will give me a settlement letter. And if they don't, I think that I will win. All right, so I need to go now. This has been podcast number 2, the second one on 2 consecutive Sundays, and I anticipate doing another one next Sunday. And that's it for now. Take care of yourself.